Today I'm discussing leash reactivity. What is it? Why is it happening? And what can you do about it? The question I'm often asked is, what causes leash reactivity? Why does my dog go crazy? So leash reactivity is one of the most common behavioral challenges that pet owners face. Holding your dog back while they're barking and lunging can be frustrating, frightening, and downright embarrassing. Although it can feel like there's no hope for enjoying your walks, the good news is that leash reactivity is entirely treatable. So let's talk first about what causes leash reactivity. Here are three categories of reactivity: frustration-based reactivity, insecurity-based reactivity, and the confident reactive dog. Believe it or not, although your dog's behavior on leash may look and sound intense, many reactive dogs aren't actually aggressive. And although our treatment for this issue remains essentially the same, regardless of the cause, it's important to really get to the root of the behavior in order to successfully understand and effectively work with each individual dog. So what are the causes of frustration-based reactivity? When a dog is on leash, it may become frustrated when it sees other dogs or people that it cannot reach and start lunging and barking at them. Frustration-based reactivity in other dogs refers to the behavior where a dog reacts with aggression, barking, or other undesirable behaviors due to frustration. This frustration can arise from the dog's inability to access or achieve something it desires. If you have a dog that falls into this category, they're typically highly social. So say at the dog park they have friends or they have other dog friends, but may struggle with polite greetings when they're out on leash. Even though this type of reactivity is based on excessive friendliness, essentially your dog may still sound and appear aggressive to the untrained eye. Dogs with insecurity-based reactivity are genuinely uncomfortable in the presence of people and other dogs. Although their on-leash behavior can appear quite threatening, these dogs are actually seeking to avoid conflict. Their barking and lunging is an effort to keep the person or other animals away. So causes include poor socialization and lack of exposure to people and other animals in the first 6 months of their life. So COVID puppies, for example. During the lockdown, these puppies were not getting exposure and socialized with other people or other dogs. Traumatic incident. So being attacked by another dog on leash or pinned at the dog park. Prior training history that was unpleasant or frightening for the dog is also a cause. If given the opportunity to greet a dog on leash, these dogs will typically begin showing avoidance behavior and may try to escape the situation. If given no way out of the interaction, they may growl, snap, or even bite the person or the other dog they were trying to avoid. This is another reason why it's so critical to avoid a on-leash greeting. The leash removes your dog's option to run away. So what are the causes of the confident reactive dog? You'll notice that the causes of this reactivity are similar to the causes of insecurity-based reactivity. So again, poor socialization and lack of exposure to people and other animals in the first 6 months. A traumatic incident, being attacked by another dog on leash or pinned at the dog park. And again, prior training history that was unpleasant or frightening for the dog. People are often surprised to hear that these cases are the exception and not the rule. Leash reactivity dogs can come across as bold and offensive, but the vast majority of them are quite the opposite. However, there is a small percentage of dogs that we would classify as confident reactive dogs. These dogs are not uncomfortable at all with the sight of a person or other dogs. Like the frustrated group, they desperately want to get to them, but the difference is they are seeking for straight out conflict. These dogs will cause bodily harm to a person or other dogs if given the opportunity. Because of that, they present a liability to the owner and to the general public and should be conditioned to wear a basket muzzle when you're out on walks. So how do we solve leash reactivity? So now that you have a better understanding of what the most common types and causes of reactivity is in dogs, let's dive into a treatment. For our purposes today, this plan will reference a dog that is reactive towards other dogs, but the same exact training can be used for reactivity towards bikes, cars, children, squirrels, people, you name it. The type of behavior modification can be tedious and requires great attention to detail in order to be truly effective. So I recommend consulting with a qualified behavior professional to help you maximize your results. You should not be walking your dog in public until you have achieved the training process, or you feel confident that you can avoid all potential triggers initially. So in this first step, we are pairing high value food with something that dogs love. This way he understands what is being asked of him so we can progress to the next step. So we recommend starting the first step indoors, as it's critically important that we start with as little distraction and stress in your dog and you as possible. With your dog standing in front of you, lift a toy or other interesting object into the air. You can also have a helper lift the toy, just be sure your dog can see it. As soon as your dog looks at the toy, say the word yes, using a happy voice. Good boy. Yes, yes, good boy. So say yes only one time and follow promptly with a high value food reward. You're not asking your dog to do anything specific here other than looking at the toy. We are simply pairing the word with something your dog loves. The reward should be a special treat your dog only gets for this training, and they need to be crazy for it. So things that I like are hot dogs, string cheese, and shredded chicken. Those are good options. I often use dehydrated beef lung when I'm training. Repeat the step until your dog is quickly looking at the toy when it's being revealed. It's time to practice this in a more realistic scenario, but it's still important that you are not yet out in the real world. The more your dog practices the barking and lunging behavior, the longer it will take your dog to see true success. So we don't want your dog rehearsing it. With your dog put away, set up your helper dog and handler at a significant distance. This might be 40 or 50 feet. This is critical to success. Bring your dog out so that they can see the other dog. You and your dog will remain stationary, but the helper dog can be walked back and forth at a distance from you. Do not ask your dog to sit or lie down. This step can take place in your neighborhood if it's quiet or at a quiet park. Our goal is that your helper dog is the only dog you'll encounter at first. With that said, you have a few options with this step. If you have a friend that has a non-reactive dog, enlist their help. You can also purchase a fake dog to use, like a stuffy dog. Just be sure your dog doesn't see it beforehand. You should be armed with a treat pouch with lots of treats, lots of high value treats as we discussed earlier. Have several pieces of food already in your hands. The moment your dog notices the other dog, mark it with a yes and you reinforce the marker. Now, one of three things will happen when you do this. Your dog will look back at you expectantly and bingo, reward and praise heavily. They may look back at the other dog several more times, but repeat this process each time your dog looks at the other dog. Your dog may also ignore your word and is staring at the other dog, but quietly. You are a little bit too close. Quickly and calmly add some distance and try it again. Do not repeat the word yes. And third one is your dog starts barking and lunging at the other dog. You're way too close. So quickly and calmly add distance and try again. And again, do not repeat the word yes. If your dog is doing well with this step, practice a few more times with breaks in between, of course, but keep each dog exposure short, so maybe 30 to 60 seconds. If you overdo it, you may lose your progress. Once you and your dog feel confident with this process while working in a controlled situation, you may begin seeking out real-life training opportunities. Note that some dogs struggle the most in their own neighborhood, so you may want to consider starting in a more neutral environment. The process remains the same as step 2. You just have less control over the behavior of the other dogs that you encounter. So what you do have control over, and what will define your success, is your distance from the other dogs, your use of high-value food, isolated only for leash training, quick timing with your marker words, correct timing of your marker word if your dog is already barking and lunging. You should not be saying yes or trying to reward your dog. Remember the basic process. You see a dog coming, proactively add distance between your dog and the oncoming dog, and stop as they go by. The moment your dog notices the other dog, mark yes. Your dog should look back at you and then you reward. Repeat for each look. If you're seeing consistent success with step 2 and 3, congrats, that's amazing. You're through the most difficult parts of this process. Now you can begin the process of slowly offering your dog more choices and backing off your level of management. Until now, you've been stopped while dogs pass by. Now you can begin doing this in process and motion. It's also time to start trying what we call the pause. When your dog sees another dog, instead of immediately marking yes, pause. Count slowly to 3 in your head. So 1, 2, 3, and let's see if your dog can do this independently. Within those few seconds, your dog should turn back to you automatically. They've learned that the appearance of a dog is their cue to look at you, and that is where the magic happens. When your dog looks back at you, now is the time to mark yes and reward. As you work on this step, you may find that your dog stops caring about some other dogs as they pass by. This is a great sign that your walks are going to start getting easier and a whole lot better. If your dog is disinterested and non-reactive in a passing dog, there's no need to mark or reward those interactions at this point. Some dogs will require a lifetime of highly managed walks, but for others, you'll be able to fully phase out this process over time. Dogs are complex, highly emotional beings, and we cannot fully control every life event or their genetic makeup. As you go through this training process, remember that there will be successes and backslides, and that truly changing behavior is not fast or easy. Focus on small wins and move at a pace that is comfortable for both you and your dog, and you'll be amazed at the changes that you'll see. Thanks so much.